Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us as we round off the Google Online Safety Roadshow. It has actually been a wonderful experience because we kick-started on Friday last week and we're rounding off today. My name is Amanda Obidike and I'm the strategy lead of STEMi Makers Africa. STEMi Makers Africa, in partnership with Google, is proud to bring parents on the Google Online Safety Training. So I would kickstart immediately just to ensure that we are covering a lot and we would be able to finish in an hour 20 minutes. So yes, I would like to discuss and talk about online safety. Now, the whole idea about this training is to establish parents' understanding of the online safety landscape and what are the key concerns. So it's not only about the key concerns, but it's also addressing concerns and challenges that parents and teachers face. So let's discuss the challenges on parenting in the digital age. Modern kids have never known a time when they couldn't connect to the entire world via the internet. In fact, they probably spend more time online than anyone else, certainly more than you as parents. So I want us to dive in and I would like to help you as parents better understand this landscape. Now, this is the statistics and I want to draw the attention to the pace and uptake of technology in today's world. I would like you to ask yourself, how old were you when you got hold of this kind of technology? For kids today, the internet is becoming a part of growing up. So now I want to also highlight the adoption rates of technology for the youths. In statistics now, children are being the fastest adopters of this technology. Number two, children ages 15 to 24 years old typically outnumber the overall online population. Now that's amazing. The third fact about this is the global proportion of young people aged 15 to 24 using the internet is 71%, and this is significantly higher than the proportion of the total population using the internet, which is 48%. Now, the internet is becoming more and more prevalent in the daily lives of our children and even us as parents. Children will be online from an early age, but we can limit how often and how it can happen. The children of today are growing up in a very different world compared to our generation. So, this also brings me to my next slide. I would like to engage you about the perceptions of what children are actually doing online. So most parents feel that they know what teenagers and children are doing online, but teenagers do not think so. So to quickly take any of your answers, I would like to ask you, what are your children actually doing online? I would like you to share on the chat box. That's why we have it as a live. We would like to take any questions and your opinions. So what are children actually doing online? Is it gaming, for example? Is it downloading? Is it networking and connecting with friends? Please share on the chat box. Now, in all this, do you feel you have a complete handle on what they are doing? If you do, how do you monitor what they are actually doing online? So please share with us as we go to our next slide. Any answers? Yes, I see someone. Okay. Please type it in. We would like to, take in your answers. So, parents, many of you will have a firm grip on what your children are doing online. But I want to give you examples of what they may actually be doing. They could be gaming, they could be downloading, they could be connecting with friends or using social media, etc. There are a lot of wonderful things that children can do online with their devices. Now, this is the statistics, and looking at this, we can tell that the digital technology has become a fundamental part of children's lives. Your children need to understand these principles apply online. Now, I just want you to know that although there is a tendency to limit access technology, it can be an amazing force for good. So technology can be used for social good. Now, the whole idea about this is we want to build engagement and familiarity with you to address these concerns. So, I would like you, if you can, to please introduce yourself. I did introduce myself earlier. We would like to know you because I know that we have several parents coming from different schools. So please introduce yourselves, your name, where you are from, and I want you to also share what are your biggest challenges, the biggest concerns you have and that you are facing with keeping your children safe online. It could be one of your child, it could be two children and all. So please share your biggest concerns. We would really appreciate such feedback from you. So please share on the chat box, Yes. Thank you. I want to see more answers, oh, please. I want to see more answers. Yes, I saw one. I want you to know that it's great to see that we have very similar concerns. And we want to hear new ones. That's why I want you to send them on the chat box and so that we can address them. Now, I want to also share this. These are real quotes and concerns from other parents. Now, we want to connect their concerns with that of yours and that of many others. So, looking at these concerns in quotes, you can see that you are not alone. Many more parents share the same worries and are in search for help, and that's why we are conducting this online safety training to address these concerns. I want us to also look at discussing our responsibilities to follow our children's social media pages. It's appropriate for whatever reason. We would also give you tips on that. Now, with so many concerns out there, this session is actually to offer some tips, like I said, on how to positively approach these concerns. Because, the internet is a vast place. And while some parents may approach these concerns by restricting or limiting access to the internet, it may not be the best approach. Okay, technology, they should embrace and reinforce it. We want to embrace the opportunities available for our children out there to use technology for good. Now, one, we can get access to a wealth of information for learning, for homework, for research that's applicable to both our children and ourselves. Now, there are a lot of interactive tools, games that can aid their learning, some of which can be done with parents. In the course of time, I would also share with you certain wonderful family applications that you can use for your children and can use to stimulate learning. Now, the second one is there are ways to find opportunities for work. The internet has become a global and loving village. There are a lot of opportunities out there. All you have to do is research, search on available jobs, whether remotely, whether physical, and you have as many data as you can. Now, the third purpose is you can use it to start a blog. From following your favorite artists, for example, on Instagram, the internet can be a great way for young and aspiring creatives to get started. Now, however, even if the internet remains a complex place which was not built intentionally for children and is not regulated as other children's services. Okay, so now I want you to know that we should use technology And technology, it serves as an enabler, but also with so much power comes great responsibility. Like Uncle Ben told Spider-Man in the Spider-Man cartoon. So now there is a need for a better understanding of how we are using this internet. Therefore, it's imperative that we get involved in our children's online activity and guide them through it safely. We're going to go through common areas that children come up with against when browsing online. Which brings me to my next slide, and it's talking about our agenda for today. Now, our agenda is to steer three things. One, we want to educate parents, teachers, wards, cousins, siblings, and people to learn about how they can safeguard their family online. We want to also demonstrate tools that protect family devices and accounts. We want to provide talking points to discuss with your family about online behavior. Now, okay, I want to share that you can check and update your security settings on your devices and your children's devices. You can also be aware that of the organizations and resources available, links on that, and we would like you to even download them. Now, we want you to also feel confident in the technology that can help safeguard your children and your family and what they can access and when they can access it. Now, as parents, you can actively put in place the filters and controls to protect your families. Now, parents can also create their own approach to safety with their family and start a dialogue. Now, let's also talk about setting digital ground rules. Now, every family is different, and therefore the limitations, restrictions, and guidelines you want your family to live their digital lives should be up to each individual families. We know that families are different. We want you to set ground rules that can help you enjoy the best of the internet while understanding that there is a limit where the good of the internet can become a negative impact if it is abused and if it is overused. So, please, I want us to get involved in this activity. I would like us to discuss if you are currently setting ground rules on digital usage in your house. For example, using TVs or using their smartphones at the dinner table. It could be on anything. Please share any ground rule you may have established. We would like to learn from you. We would all learn from your experience and all rules that you have set for your family. So please share, because we want to connect your concerns with that of many others. You know, we said earlier that you're not alone. A lot of parents have approached us even during the training and complained severely about this, but we are here to also prefer lasting solutions for you and your children. So please share any ground rules on digital usage in the house that you may have set. I want to use this opportunity to signpost any topic that you are raising through maybe any ground rule that you have set that I may not have mentioned previously and we are covering. So I want to also take your data. I want to also take that information and add it into concerns that parents may have. So I'll be looking forward to that as I go to my next slide. Now you can see these three options. There are actually three main activities that we recommend setting ground rules around. Now, one includes screen time. I don't know if we've heard about screen time, but we'll be talking about screen time today. The second is the kind of information you share or your children share and the way you behave online. Now, we will go into more depth on each of these topics now. Now, in establishing family values online, we want you to consider managing children's behavior by establishing how you expect them to act online. We want you to make them understand that they can treat others as they would want to be treated, and saying online only with what they would say face to face are great places to start. Now, our next slide talks about screen time. We want parents and our audience to reflect on the current attitudes and approaches towards screen time. Now, what is now in your thoughts? I want to understand, how do you currently approach screen time with your children? How do you currently approach screen time with your children? Do you actually do screen time? Are you good with screen time yourself? Please share on the chat box. Thank you so much. These questions are actually to explore the positive effects of screen time and the downsides of screen time with our audience. Now, to my next slide, we're talking about balancing screen time. So I'll be talking about the positive side and the negative side effects of screen time. But let me talk about the positive side of the screen time. One advantage of screen time is it enables children, teenagers to complete their homework. Now they can search for information online, and in some schools they can complete their homework and submit the work remotely. Screen time also helps them connect with friends and family. They can keep in touch, share what's happening online. But now the downside is screen time has effects on sleep. We realize that sleep cycles are affected by blue light from screen trickling our brain into thinking that it's still daylight, and it makes it difficult to sleep at the end of the day. The other downside of screen time is it could encourage antisocial behavior and health issues. Now, these are concerns that children are spending less time outdoors and with peers because they are always on their devices. We see that happen times when it's time to play. Instead of the child to be out to play with his or her friends, he is likely with his device indoors just exploring the internet. Okay, so now, parents, not all online activities are created equal. No, we want you to take the time to assess how particular activities that your child is doing can help or hinder their development as they grow. I want you to know that I want to ask you is, what kind of activities would you like to limit your child's time on? What kind of activities would you like to see your child do more of? Does your child or do your children show a tendency towards any particular application or program? How much time you actually spend or your child spends using the device is up to you as a parent. But there are ways to help set these limits when you want to. I would explain further. This is one of a wonderful app that I want us to learn on. Now, this is called Family Link. We want to introduce this Family Link as sense about, protecting your child online as they explore the internet. Now, we are very extra protective when it comes to families. Google is very extra protective at that. So we are taking care of our youngest users by providing you as parents and as teachers with the best support to help your children enjoy quality about. That's about Family Link. Okay, so let me explain how Family Link works. I will provide a step-by-step in the settings on, setting up your Family Link. Now, to set up your Family Link, you would need to first create a Google account for your child or family member. It's imperative you do so. Now, if your child is under the age 13, Google will prompt you to link your email accounts with theirs. I want you to follow the prompts to accept the terms and conditions. Now, I also want you to download this Google Family Link for your children from the App Store. Now, the child will then be asked to sign in with their Google accounts. So you can see the process. First of all, create a Google account if you are setting up your Family Link. But if your child is up to 13, Google would advise and prompt you to link your email address with theirs. So altogether, there is 2 email addresses, one for you, one for your child. And you follow the step-by-step prompt to accept the terms and conditions. Okay, so these are the steps. Now, we may ask, what benefit is this family link? What are the features? I want to run through the features. The features are really wonderful and is applicable, to our solutions concerns that you may have. 1, family link helps you to manage the application your child uses. It temporarily locks your child's device at different times of the day. The 3rd one is it helps you set screen time limits. The 5th one is it locks your child's device remotely. When you lock your child's device remotely, you can manage their devices or high specific applications whenever it's time to play, study, or sleep, or even eat. I'll give you an example. You can use Family Link for bedtime. Now, you can set a bedtime routine to lock your child's phone while they sleep. So, say for example, one of the family ground rules or digital ground rules is that nobody uses their devices after 7 p.m. So, anything after 7 p.m., your child's phone is locked. The child will not be able to access any application or program on the phone. Another kind of example to use this family link is for homework or dinner. Now, it can enable you to lock their devices immediately so that they can focus on other activities like doing their homework, studying, or spending time in family. You might decide that the right amount of screen time for your child depends on what they are watching, playing, or learning. So if you are saying, I'm setting this that my child can only be entitled to 8 to 10 hours in a day, you can arrange that. You can set it through this family link. You can use this family link activity reports to see which app your child is using the most. Now, it's not even giving you this the activity report. It's giving you like a statistics. Now you are seeing the rate at which your child may be used or logged onto Facebook or logged onto XYZ application. You are seeing all that report. Now that's amazing. So I would like to ask, if anyone would like to help, if you want us to help you set it up, please drop it on the chat box. I know we have most of our emails, but we would also like to run through that to assist you for any concern. Now, going further into Family Link, I want to share certain tips that you can consider when setting limits around screen time. Now, the first one is, please set limits that can change over time. I'll explain. I want you to set rules for your children's account or your child's account, such as content filters and time limits, and let your child know that this may change as they get older. Settings should evolve over time. Don't just set it and forget it. There should be a level of understanding between you as a parent and your child. So it's not like it's a punishment, but you're coming to a level of understanding and negotiation, if I may use that word, to set this screen time. Now, I want you to also keep an eye on the usage. You might decide that the right amount of screen time for your child depends on what they are watching, playing, or learning. You can use this Family Link app activity reports to see which application your child is using the most. You can also support quality time online. Now, more experts suggest that we should focus more on what children are doing online and less on how long they are online. You can actually encourage them to engage with games and applications that teach them on creativity or problem-solving skills. Now, there are numerous skills that children can gain online. We want them to also be excited and focused on those kind of skill-based trainings or skill-based activities that can foster creativity and innovation in their lives. Now, our other slide under Family Link is this. Please, I want to ask us questions, and please drop it on the chat box. How would you like to talk to your children about screen time? How would you like to talk to your children? To some of us, it may be new. Some of us may not have, begun setting screen time. But now that you are aware, how would you like to talk to them about it? Just share on the chat box. Share on the chat box before I give you like 1 or 2 tips on how to go about it. Because, it's new. They may not easily or, willingly adapt to it. But I know that with the right words, we can shape better understanding between you as parents and the children. So please share. Wow. Yes, I see that. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, let's discuss with you and your family about screen time. Looking at this, you can see that it's important for children to know and understand why finding screen time balance is important. For that reason, we would like to suggest using these 3 discussion points for talking about screen time with your children. Now, I want to share this scope with you. But first, let me ask you, does technology ever prevent you from being present? Like you are on your phone, but you are deeply engrossed on your phone, either you're browsing or you're trying to chat or sending a message or researching on something, but something is happening around you, but you seem not to be there because your attention is on your device. To begin about this discussion, I want you to talk about how devices can sometimes cause people to miss out on things that matter to them. I also want you to know that oftentimes when we aren't fully there, in quotes, for a particular moment because we are always with our phone, you can ask your kids if they observe others, like their friends and families, that are not being present with the people around them. Have your kids also experienced a time when they were distracted from an important moment because of technology? In some African homes, I remember if you're on earpiece or headset and your mom is speaking to you and maybe you don't hear her calling out, but the next thing is maybe she shouts or maybe hits you, then you're like, oh, you are back to the world. So that's also an example of technology, of being there, but you're not physically or psychologically there. So now, how do we feel about it afterwards? To some moms, maybe when that happens, they feel very frustrated. But now, was there any particular application or game, and have you noticed a pattern in their own activity? So all these are questions that we can lay down. So to ask you, how does screen time affect focus and why does it matter? What are the times and places your family feel is important to be focused? Is it during homework or while spending time with one another? We want to talk about how to approach this technology during these times when you want to keep your attention on a task. Please encourage them to reflect on what balance feels like, not only for your kids, but for your whole family. Then look to apply that concept to the times and places throughout the day. I want you to reflect on ways to control screen time. Help you come to a solution on how to balance their own screen time. It's all about understanding, discussing with them first of all. So, let's do a little role play. I know this is virtual, but I would like our participation on this. Now, I want us to brainstorm on different scenarios. Maybe one is a parent to a child and the other one is a parent. Let's take a minute to plan what we are going to say, in talking about screen time to our children. You can share on the chat box if you have any idea on this, or you could share with maybe like your partner or someone that you are watching this video with. I want you to practice explaining to your child, this is a scenario, the problem with negative use of screen time and find a solution around it. You can do it now, you can do it later, you can do it physically with someone there, and or just envisage the scenario. You can share on the chat box if you can. Okay, thank you. So I would like to introduce what they call digital footprints and discuss present ground rules for data sharing in the family, which brings us to sharing. Now, the digital age has made it super easy to share information online, as we're able to connect with friends and families through our mobiles and social media. But with this accessibility comes consequences. So, can you think of any negative consequences to any freedom of expression sharing online has given your children? Can you think of any? If you can, please also share with us. We've gotten answers like invasion of privacy, too much of oversharing. We've gotten answers like social comparison, where children or teenagers see a flamboyant life online and they think that everything is all figured out for the person. Meanwhile, it may be the opposite. Another thing that results to oversharing is digital footprints, keeping their mark online. I would explain why. Okay, so we want to set expectations around sharing. Now, here are some discussion points we recommend for talking to your children or your family about the consequences of sharing too many things and too many information online. One, we want you to teach them about their digital footprint. I will explain to you about this. Now, together with your child or your children, I want you to search online for yourself. You can type in your name on Google Chrome, type in your name and see what kind of data or what kind of information the internet has about you. You can also talk about what you find, with your children. Now, you might want to check the results in advance, before sending it to them, but talk about what others can learn about you from these results and how you develop a digital footprint online. Or the spread of how our name and information can go. 2, it helps you to minimize social comparison. Now, make sure that your child knows that what friends share online is just one part of the whole story and is usually the highlights. You need to remind them that everyone also has boring, sad, or embarrassing moments that they do not share. 3, please teach them about oversharing. It's important. You can brainstorm solutions for oversharing, such as taking down what was shared or fixing privacy settings. Now, if this happens, help keep things in perspective. There are some embarrassing moments that are quite serious, but others are just good learning moments. So please teach them about oversharing. The 4th is establish your family values online around harassment and bullying. I want you to be clear about how you expect them to act online, like treating others as they would want to be treated and saying online only what they would say are also great places to start. So, is that about curbing harassment or being bullies? The 5th point is talk about the meaning behind someone's words and encourage positivity. It's all about positive vibes. So you can talk about the tone of voice and remind your children that it's easy, super easy to misinterpret someone's meaning online. We need to encourage them to assume good intentions and talk to friends directly if they are unclear about someone's meaning. They can talk about how good it feels to send and receive positive messages online. I want you to also consider using one of your applications together to send a positive comment or message. Now, before I go into the second part of this, I want you to understand that a better internet is one that is free of bullying, division, hate, or crime. It's not just an aspiration, it's truly possible. And it starts with the individual. It starts with you as a parent, as a digital user. It starts with you, me, and the next generation of users that we're raising up. Now, Google has actually built useful guide to support families, which is full of conversation, topics, and activities to engage your family. You can look at it at wellbeing.google/families. So please take it down. Wellbeing.google/families. Wellbeing spelled WELLBEING.google/families. Okay, now family values. So we've talked a little about digital footprints, but I want to discuss these ground rules for data sharing in your family. Now, the digital age has made it super easy to share information online, as we are unable to connect with friends and families we are able to connect with friends and families through our mobiles and social media. So, being able to establish family values online, through the tips I've given. But now, I want to take any questions that you may have on the tips that we shared and the tools that we shared. So please, if you have any questions, kindly write them down and we'll visit the chat box before we close. Please visit the chat box, write any concerns or questions that you may have. So now this second part of our slide, we'll be discussing about family-friendly content. Now, in this section, we will demonstrate where possible the tools that can be used to filter and control what can be seen online. So please, parents, teachers, friends, families, I would like to ask, how do children use the internet? How do you think children use the internet? How do you think children use the internet? What kind of applications do they use and what kind of content do they consume? Box. We'll be looking out for responses, your interactions, activities, how you respond. Please, we want it to be so interactive. So please share on the chat box. Okay, so we want to discuss this kind of activities that post to online. Now, many of these will depend on your child's age or maturity level. Now, we want you to get a sense of which of these are most worrying to other parents and how do they currently monitor if their children has come across these applications or program. We know it can be difficult to monitor what your child is viewing as they can access this material through any internet-enabled device, including mobile ones such as phones and tablets. Now, we know kids will always be children because they are naturally curious, they are naturally creative, and very curious humans. But there are many technical tools and parental tools that you can use to filter content and sites, and we'll be looking at this approach that can help you. Okay, so family-friendly content. Now, this family-friendly content provides a comprehensive list of features for finding and managing family-friendly content. So it can help you set content restrictions in Google Play through Family Link. We've shared on how you can set up Family Link for your children or for your family. It can help you blacklist or whitelist specific websites and helps you set filters for web browsing. It can also help you add or turn safe search on and off with Family Link. Now, if getting parental control coverage installed on each of your family devices starts to seem too difficult, I want you to consider these features available through your broadband providers. Now, speaking of broadband providers, if you are using the Google Chrome browser available, is a free download. Now, there is a feature that lets you create different account profiles for supervised users and managers, and it gives you complete control of how your children use the internet. Now, another one is Safari. Safari has built-in restriction settings you can activate to block adult content. Firefox and IE also have varying parent control that you can activate. Now, let's go a step further. On certain websites and internet platforms such as Google, YouTube, and iTunes, you can switch on a family-friendly filter that should identify and filter out potentially mature content. Once again, there are no flawless systems. I want you to understand that. So it makes sense to use this alongside other parental controls. The third is Google Safe Search. Now, it's one of the primary parental control options offered by Google to help parents police search results. Now, Safe Search helps to filter mature and potentially explicit content out of search results. I want you to also know that YouTube has for children. We'll be talking about that, and it's really amazing as you explore it. Okay. So this is how you can turn on Safe Search on your devices. You can actually go through search settings and turn it on. Speaking about YouTube, YouTube has restriction mode. YouTube's community guideline includes guides on nudity or sexual content, hateful content, harmful or dangerous content, and violent or graphical content. Now, while YouTube is working hard to ensure all videos meet their community guidelines due to the high volume of content uploaded to the site each day, there is still potential risk that some videos will break these guidelines and still be available to view. Additionally, just because something is acceptable under the guidelines doesn't mean it's automatically appropriate for users of all ages. So, restriction mode is there to help protect your YouTube experience, children's YouTube experience, while they are watching YouTube content or while you are watching YouTube content together. So when you enable it, you will also not be able to see comments on your video that you want to avoid any unwanted discussion. Please know that YouTube requires account holders to be at the age 18. But a 13-year-old can sign up with a parental permission. So as many young people may access YouTube with their parents' permission, but may still view the content not in their parents' presence, we ensure we are equipping you to protect your family's viewing experience. So, now, ta-da! This is the YouTube Kids. Now, the YouTube Kids is a specialized video app. Just like the YouTube normal one. Now, this app is tailored towards children with specially curated content, parental controls, and filtering. YouTube is the first Google product that is built from the ground up with kids and families in mind. Looking at this, the YouTube Kids app offers a more contained YouTube experience for kids. The content is generated by YouTube creators, but uses the power of Google systems to try to filter out the content that may not be appropriate for children. So you can read more about the options for parental control at www.youtube.com/kids/ So youtube.com/kids/ is where you can read more about this. Okay, now a lot of parents get excited, about this, but I would like to share this on this platform. It's about the read along. Now, read along is a strong option for learning. Learning, I mean, for your children, and also helping you as parents. I'll explain why. First things first, Read Along is an Android app that is developed to aid kids in ages 1 to 5 to learn to read confidently anytime, anywhere, using their own voices. It's a speech-based reading application that encourages children to read aloud just the way they naturally do, and this makes it an engaging way to learn to read. Read Along uses the Google's existing speech recognition and a text-to-speech technology that powers the Google Assistant to serve as a personalized reading tutor for your kids. And it even works even completely offline. Now, the helpful in application, which is Read Along, is AI-powered reading buddy called Dia. Now, Dia encourages them by providing positive reinforcements when they read correctly and helps them out by giving suggestions when they don't read correctly. So the benefits of read along is an independent reading with friendly assistance. It has a global collection of stories. It fosters playful learning. Children get better every day using Read Along. It has personalized profiles. They can learn with Wi-Fi. It's private and secure. That's amazing. I would like you to download the Read Along. Just type Read Along on the App Store and you will see the app. Approve all terms and conditions and you are good to go. So, how does Read Along work? I want to talk further about how it works. Now, Dia in Read Along is an expressive animated reading assistant. And Dia can help to read the entire sentence by highlighting each word as it is being read so that the children can follow along. Now, as children read aloud, Dia detects if a child is struggling with a passage of text and is able to provide positive reinforcements or help. Now, children can ask Dia, who is in the Read Along, at any time to help them read a sentence or pronounce a word that they don't understand or know. Now, users can type on any words to hear it pronounced, and when they practice reading a word, the application will show them if the word was read correctly by making it green. You can see how user-friendly and playful it is while the learning. So for non-native speakers of a language, Dia explains the meaning of a word or the sentence in the native language on tapping for help. The app tracks their progress on the sentences and proactively offers support if they detect that the user, which is the child, is struggling. Presently, Read Along offers 100 stories per languages with recommendations, and books can be downloaded and read offline. Users can also collect awards to drive learning. Now, that's really motivational. So, Google Read Along, like I said, is a free online speech-based reading application with a one-on-one assistant that can help your children, and these children can be between ages 6 to 11 to read. Children can improve their reading skills using the magic of their voices. So please download it. Help your kids to have fun while improving their reading skills using the magic of their voices. Now, I want to ask us another question. How do you protect your family from negative content? Reveal on click. In case if I haven't mentioned that there are some ways that you might approach this. Now, one, I want you to start a conversation. You can talk to your kids or your child about what they might find on the internet. Help them understand that sometimes they may come across things that they should or they would have preferred not to see and might be upset about them. Encourage them to come and talk to you about it. Make yourself accessible, because once they lock it up, it may be difficult for them to, share their experiences or concerns. You can encourage them to think before the click. So you can help your child understand that clicking on pop-ups or links in unsolicited emails that offer things that are either too good to be true may end up in them accessing content that they didn't intend to see. Teach them to ignore pop-ups. We see that happen a lot. Ignore it. Do not allow. Another one is supervise if you can. Maybe ideal for younger children. If you can try and be in the same room as your child when they are online, that way you can keep an eye for what kind of content they are accessing. Okay, so here is it. Please, number one, start a conversation. Number two, encourage them to think before they click. Number three, supervise if you can. I will pause for questions again before we go to the last category or the last section of this. Please, if you have any concern, drop them on the chat box. We will be happy to address them. Okay, so while we accept any questions that we may have, I would like to dive into the third category of this learning. Now, the whole idea about this is we want to discuss the security dangers that are presently in our world today for children online, and we want to provide a framework for you as parents to recognize signs of these dangers and also help you to adjust all these any privacy settings or parental controls on their social media apps or their devices. So please let me know your thoughts. I want to know what is the most popular social media platform for your kids. Please share if you have any. I know they love some kind of social media pages. Please share. Is it Facebook? Is it TikTok? Is it Snapchat? Is it Twitter, Instagram, etc.? Please share on the chat box. Share. Okay. Now, we live online. Adults like to post pictures online. Our online profiles also share a lot of personal information about us, such as age, school, location, activities we like. Now, unfortunately, this type of information can only help scammers and groomers to manipulate children. So with children removing the privacy setting, it leaves a lot of information open on the web for anyone to use. Now, the first step to helping your children stay safe is understanding ourselves the type of information available on each platform and what privacy settings we can control. Okay, so we want to discuss 3 main points to protecting your family's security. First, we all know you care about your family's security online. Now, what affects your child also affects the entire family. I want you to know that. What kind of dangers to both your family and your own security exist when participating on online activities? We are going to cover 3 topics on this, which is 1, stranger danger, identity theft, and cyberbullying. Now, stranger danger. This is also known as online grooming and is a word used to describe people befriending children in order to take advantage of them for sexual purposes. It's easy to pretend to be someone else on the internet so that children can sometimes end up having conversations with them freely with people whose real identity they may not know. So we want to start by understanding some of the things to look out for. So what are the things to look out for? Online grooming may be hard for parents to recognize because it can happen when children are at home or when you are absent. So groomers may specifically want children not to talk to anyone about it. Online groomers are not always strangers. In many situations and cases, they may already have met them as children They have met them through their family or social activities and use the internet to build rapport with them. Sometimes children don't even realize they have been groomed and think that the person is their boyfriend or girlfriend. You may want to investigate further if you see your child exhibiting any of these signs. Number one, being secretive about who they are talking to online. Number two, using sexual languages when you wouldn't expect them to know or expect them to know at all. Number three, switching screens when you come near the computer. So it's like way of pretending when you're approaching them, they just change the screen or like log out so that you may not see what they are currently doing. I want to give you best advices and best practices that you can approach, and discuss online groomings with your family. Grooming can be a very tricky subject to talk about, first of all. A good way in is to say you have read a story about this happening and ask them if they know if any of their friends have experienced anything similar. So I want you to also talk about the risk. Make sure your child knows that not everyone online is who they say they are. Encourage your children to come and talk to you if they are not sure about the identity of someone online. Another aspect is agree to the rules. Now, discuss with your family about where you stand on. For example, like sharing information with strangers online, talk to them about it, agree on some rules and some limitations, restrictions on it. Keeping secrets from you as parents of siblings, and sharing boundaries to individual privacy, knowing those digital ground rules for the family. Another rule that you can set is sharing pictures of their bodies, houses, or friends. Then the last of this is meeting with friends they have met online in an offline space. So these are rules that you can set with your children. Another one is staying engaged. Now, from time to time, you can review their social media together. You or a family member might want to be their friend online to ensure they are making sensible choices. If you do, friend them. Watch and observe rather than take part. So, 1, talk about the risk. 2, agree on the rules. 3, stay engaged. Wow, I hope you're having a great time. Please comment if you can, or share any concern that you may have. Now, the second one is privacy and identity fraud. It's important to know that just like adults, children may be at risk of having their online identity stolen or misused. It can be difficult to maintain a child's privacy as they may not understand what information is safe to share online, or what default privacy settings are on the sites and devices they are using. Now, if a child's identity is stolen, the truth is it may not be noticed for many years and could in some cases lead to the child being the victim of blackmail, grooming, or bullying. Now, let's try to understand what some of the things to look out for are. Okay, so you may need to start to suspect your child's identity has been stolen if they, number 1, get a bill for something they haven't ordered ever, or start to get emails from an organization they don't recognize at all, or receive any letter regarding government benefits or tax repayments. Okay. Now, please, I want to share certain things on how we can protect our children from identity theft. The first one is check their online privacy settings. Now, you can go through the privacy settings with your child for every social media networking site and applications that they have signed up to. Agree with them, like rules, in setting and sharing what they would share. Agree with them what they would share and with whom they will share it to. Second is check their device settings. Check their privacy settings on the smartphone and tablet devices. Things to look out for are whether they are set up for location services or sharing of content or photos and calendars, Bluetooth sharing, microphone, video, and advertising. Now, see our section on the safety pages of the main devices. Now, another thing is find out what is already out there. Search for your child's name in several search engines and see what information and photographs are public. Use platforms like deceit.me to check their online exposure. Deceit.me is spelled DESEAT.me to check their online exposure. I want you to also take action and go incognito. Now, going incognito is websites on which they appear to remove inaccurate comments or photographs. So when using public computer, your children can use incognito browsing. So if your child's identity has been stolen, be sure to tell any affected websites about the problem and get your child to log in and change their passwords immediately. So let's discuss share setting options and demonstrate how to change security settings on social media apps. Okay, so personal privacy and security are just as important online as they are offline. Privacy settings need to be updated across any platform that your children may be using. Most social media platforms that they may be using will have privacy settings that you can update. Now, here are some examples of social media platforms that you may be familiar with. YouTube, Facebook, you can see that. So typically, the age limit for this is 13 years old, and they will have privacy settings that you can update to protect their data and digital footprints. Now, I would like to ask you, are you familiar with these platforms? If you are, have you updated your own privacy settings on each of these platforms? Please share if you are conversant with these platforms. Okay, so let me share settings option on YouTube. Now, YouTube is a little different to the others, the other social media pages that we showed, in that you can change the privacy settings on the videos. You can open your YouTube app for one, click on your profile icon to access account menu. Third, choose your channel. Then, choose the option button next to any of the videos. Choose between private, unlisted, or public. Now, for the unlisted means that you can share the video through a link but won't be available for people who are just browsing. Okay, so that is it. Those are the steps on how to do it. So let's talk about your children setting strong passwords. Now, even if we lock down our security settings, anybody is able to hack into an account that has total access to all of our information. Furthermore, once one account is hacked, a scammer can use this information to influence others. Therefore, one of the best protection against fraud is a strong password. Not all passwords are created equal. I want you to know that. And many passwords are easily guessed by hackers. It's a good idea to protect both your passwords and your children's identity by ensuring that your password match the strong password standard. Now, we have features of good passwords and strong passwords. One is having uppercase, lowercase. Another is having more than 5 to 11 characters and special characters in it. Then, we want you to follow these tips that could make your passwords unique. You can use a different password for each of your important accounts, like your email and online banking. Reusing passwords has disadvantage. I would explain why. Reusing passwords for important accounts is very risky. So if someone gets your password for one account, they could easily access your email address and even your money. So make your passwords longer and more memorable. Long passwords are stronger. These tips can help you create longer passwords that are easier to understand. So, for example, you can use a lyric from a song or a poem that you are conversant with. Or you can use a meaningful quote from a movie or speech, or a passage from a book, or a series of words that are meaningful to you. You can use letters, numbers, and symbols. Now, passwords with different types of symbols may be more difficult for people to guess, but may also be harder for you to remember. You can set up recovery info to avoid getting locked only if you forget your password. Please avoid information and common words. So avoid creating passwords from info that others might know or could easily find out. For example, using your nickname or initials, or the name of your children or pet, or important birthdays or years. Cyberbullying. We want to talk about cyberbullying. We see it existing and we want to help children and parents understand this. Now, it's important that children who are being bullied online know that simple steps they can take can help them to cope and how to ask for support. Now, let's do a do and don't to give you as parents some support. So I would ask some questions and I would need our responses. Now, what do you think cyberbullying is? How is it different from other forms of bullying? Bullying has changed as the digital world encourages more children to take to social media and anonymous messaging apps to share their experience and manage relationships. Now, cyberbullying differs from traditional bullying in that it just doesn't take place at school or in the streets. It can encroach into the home as children spend time online using phones, tablets, or computers. Now, this is a new form of bullying that parents may not be aware of. One of the biggest differences between cyberbullying and face-to-face bullying is that it can be hard to get away from. Young people could get bullied anywhere, anytime, even when they are at home. Now, you will hear different words used in the context of cyberbullying. So all these are phrases and words that are used. Now, I would like to ask you, can you explain to me what each of these terms mean? I want you to go through them one by one and let's build a discussion around ways of approaching each of them. How do we know where to tell if this is occurring? Looking at these words, are we conversant with these words? Now, let me explain to you these terms, what these terms mean. Now, harassment. Harassment in online means targeting an individual or group with persistent and offensive messages, which could develop into cyber stalking. Now, the second one is outing. It's publicly sharing personal, private, or embarrassing information, photos, or videos about someone online. The third is trolling. Now, trolling is deliberately posting provocative or insultive messages about sensitive objects or inflicting racism or misogyny on an individual. The fifth one is bans. They really see bans as something not serious, but it's about kids that are being cruel and they get away with being cruel. So, and when they do it, they just say, oh, it's just for bans, it's just for fun. Then another one is roasting. Now, it means ganging up on an individual online and sending offensive abuse until the victim is seen to crack, like he's seen to bend or compromise. The final one is grieving. Is abusing and angering people through online gaming. So all these are terms of cyberbullying, but they are all cyberbullying related. Now, it's important to know what to look out for, and just as important to know how to have a conversation about it. The fact is, more time children spend time online, the more chance they have of having a negative experience at some point. So, how do we talk to children about bullying? So, if you become aware that your child is being bullied, there are a number of things you should do to straighten it away. Number one, for the do's. I want you to find out why. You can try and establish facts around the incident and keep an open mind. You can talk it through, like talking about the bloodline between uploading and sharing content because it's funny or might get a lot of likes versus the potential to cause offense or hurt. You need to talk it through to them. Third is, please teach by example. We want you to model and encourage positive behavior in your child and praise them as they take this on board. Another one is learning from it. Above all, help your child learn from what has happened. Think about what you could do differently as a parent or as a family and share your learning with other parents and caretakers. Then for the third, we don't want you as parents to get upset. Please stay calm when discussing it with your child and try to talk about what other adults to work through any emotions you have about the situation. Don't ignore it. We want you to take the situation seriously and don't blame someone for it. Third is, do not condone it. So if your child was cyberbullying in retaliation, you should tell them that two wrongs do not make a right, and it will just encourage the bully's behavior. So do not encourage it. The fourth is, don't take away their devices. We see that happen sometimes where something happens and the parent sees their devices. It can actually make the situation worse and encourage them to find other ways to get online. So please do not take away their devices. So for conversation starters, if you suspect your child is being bullied or has witnessed it or may even be a bully, I want to share conversations that you can use to stir it up and understand whether they are being bullied, whether they have witnessed it, or whether they are even the bullies themselves. So you can say conversations like, I sense something is off. Are you okay? Or you can say, I know it's embarrassing to talk about this, but I've been bullied once in my life and this is how I felt. Another one is, you can say, who gets bullied or teased at school? Why do they get bullied? The fourth is, if you were XX and someone said or did that to you online, how would you feel? So all these are conversations that should stir responses from them to understand where their fit is, to understand the position they are in. So it's also important to mention nobody likes to think that their own child can be cyber bullies. We don't want to believe that our children could be cyber bullies or could be bullied. But we need to start these conversations to know the status or to know where your children stand. Okay, so please share with us that what are some of the ways that you would bring up bullying with your children, like we shared. I've given you examples, but please feel free to share any example or, scenario that you may have. I will pause for questions if you may have any while we visit any. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Okay. So I can't really see my screen, but I wish I can see it to, address them as we round off. So I want to share tips and resources. We'll be sharing it in the short chat box shortly. I have an assistant who can jot it down, so he will do that. So, we'll be sharing these resources and a link with you that you can use in accessing wonderful resource tools for them. And afterwards, we'll be awarding participants and viewers an online safety certificate of you showing that you are Internet Awesome. So please, Kylie, help us to put the Internet Awesome website on the chat box. Please help us put it on the chat box. So, about being Internet Awesome is a program designed in collaboration with Google and leading experts such as the Net Safety Collaborative and the Internet Keep Safe Coalition, that is ikeepsafe.org. It is designed to teach children the skills that they need to be safe and smart online. Now, there are 5 fundamental topics of digital citizenship and safety from the Internet Code of Awesome. So, number 1 is sharing with care, that's being internet smart. The second is don't fall for fake, that's being internet alert. Third is strong. 4 is it's cool to be kind, that's being internet kind. And the 5th is when in doubt, talk it out, so being internet brave. So more information are on safety.google/families/families-tips. So kindly please write that down on the chat box. Safety.google/families/families-tips. Safety.google/families/families-tips/. Have you written it down? Okay, so this is it, and okay, so we